Join the Council for the Model Aquatic Health Code, aka CMAC. CMAC is a member-driven organization that keeps the Model Aquatic Health Code sustainable, current, and complete. Your expertise is needed. Learn more at cmac.org. That's cmahc.org.
Hey everyone, it's Tuesdays with Kelly and Dan. Hey Dan.
Hey Kelly. You know what? I was talking to someone just actually today in regards to what you've been doing to the relative to the industry and the women's groups, right? Yeah. And the education, and I know you have different things that you do. You recently had an electrical
we
thing that you were looking to do.
We had to postpone it, but it will be in February. And
Okay.
we're going to actually make it bigger than it was going to be. So we're still going to have all the different manufacturers. Like I'm going to have a full Omni panel where the ladies can wire up to the relays so we can learn about relay stuff and about low voltage, but also we're able to program it. I just plug it in and it works. We're going to have a Jandy RS dummy so we can teach them how to program that. We're working on getting Pentair stuff because we want to have all of them. But after our training, we're going to try to have like an event with some sort of like cornhole or something competition and make it kind of like a fundraising event because we're trying to make the women's group into a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And there's costs for that.
Sure. Yep.
But make it fun, and then we can invite all the industry people in our area that want to support the women, because honestly, we have in my area, well, I've got a great response across the country, but they always are like, we want to be more involved, and this is a way, have like the manufacturers sponsor a cornhole hole thing, and have them like donate stuff for a silent auction or whatever we decide to do.
Sure.
So we're making it bigger.
there's another source of education, right, geared towards women specifically, yep, which I think is phenomenal. And the conversation I was having earlier today, I've through the years, we obviously have a number of women in different aspects of our business, and we've sent them through different training. And I know there have been many times where I've sent individuals into a classroom and they're the only woman walking in the door to a classroom of 20 men sitting there. And I've had them come back and say, this was pretty intimidating. Yeah. Because I am an outcast as I walk in the door and all the rest of it. So to be able to have these women training sessions where that aspect of things are taken off the table, right?
Yes.
At least you're walking into the room and you don't have to worry about all the potential jerk guys in the room that are going to single you out and either
make them feel comfortable so they can ask the most basic question.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, and that the conversation I was having earlier today was just to that point exactly, and how wonderful all of your efforts that way are. So, another avenue of education, like we're talking about, right? We've got the associations, IPSA, PHTA, NESPA. We've got the manufacturer trainings, and then we've got Kelly's educational track, right? The women's group. So, but to that point, just so our listeners know, if they're interested, is there a way that they can find your educational stuff?
So right now, mainly it is on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called PGP Industry Trainings. You do have to be approved to get in. Not everybody gets into it.
So you won't let me in, is what you're saying?
I didn't say that. You have to answer the questions appropriately.
Oh, okay.
I don't let people in that don't answer the questions, for one. If I have noticed somebody who's requesting to be in the group has been in any way sexist at all to anybody, or honestly is just rude in general, I don't accept them.
Sure.
We try to keep it mainly women, but if there are people, we do have men in the group. I prefer having men in the group that have something that they can contribute to help the women So
Yeah.
if they ask a question, they can contribute. You could be a single polar male. As long as you aren't an asshole, you can be on there. As soon as somebody is rude, and this doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, rude, does not support what we're doing in any way, I delete you. You're not going to be part of the group. But that's where they can find these trainings. I try to do little things to prepare for the big training. I kind of call it the bookwork. That way, when we're at the training, you're getting the most out of it. Unlike us, and I do wish there was something in this industry, there isn't like a one-stop shop that you can find all the trainings.
Right.
You know, not even by region. And even if somebody tried doing it, it's gonna take a lot of work to be aware of all those trainings. You're going to have to build those relationships with the vendors. Then it's from my experience. When I started, I joined IPSA. That was the one I joined. I learned a lot from my other members in the chapter. I found that they were the most willing to help me compared to somebody that I'd run into at the supply house.
Sure.
I was able to build my relationships with the vendors at my chapter meetings because they would come every meeting, say whatever they needed. But if I had a question, I was able to approach them, build that relationship. And then I would have their phone number that when I'm on a job site, I can learn. But also when they had trainings, they knew I was interested, they would send me, hey, we're having a training. Do you want to come? It's going to be hard at first to find this stuff until you know where to look, but it is out there.
Yeah.
I know there is a Hayward Facebook group. Monica Archibald, she mainly posts in it, but she'll post the upcoming webinars series. So you can know when those are, so you could register, get an email reminder, so you can learn on those different things. I know that if you register on Fluidra's Academy, they'll send you emails periodically of, hey, we're having this webinar coming up. Same thing with Pentair and a lot of other organizations. So again, unfortunately, you're really going to have to put your ear out there and be actively looking for trainings, because there, again, isn't a one-stop shop that says, like, here's a bulletin board, here's what's coming up. Now, you can go to your local distributor, and they do have bulletin boards, and the manufacturers do give them, like, hey, here's a flyer, to try to get people. You're not necessarily going to know months in advance. You usually only know a few weeks. That's the only way that you can really do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the training doesn't find you; you have to find it, and it's not tough. You just have to do it. If you go to Pentair, you go to Fluidra, you go to Hayward, look at their websites, you'll find very quickly the training that they've got. And honestly, some of the online stuff that those big three have is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I
part
know
of our
Hayward University, they have a class on there that you can take on AC motors. It's that basic that you can find, or what's low voltage, lights, and they'll go over like voltage drop. Like, you do learn quite a bit. And I know Pentair and Fluidra, they have some really great ones.
Yep. And there's a lot to be said for, even as we're out in the field working all day, some of these manufacturer courses are set up that, you could go online, and although it's a video, you could kind of pop your earbuds in and play the video with your phone in your pocket, even though you're not watching the video, and just listen to it. And
or when they have the webinars, same thing.
The webinars, for sure, yeah. And it's amazing the things you pick up, even though you're not necessarily watching the video. Certainly, it's better if you're able to be fully engaged into what the presentation is. But our days are, 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days of usually us by ourselves.
Yep.
And we can put the earbuds in and tune into, music and whatever, and just kind of, go through the day. But we could also interject here and there some of these online universities from these manufacturers, and maybe gain a little bit here and there as we go through, and make us better that way, which is no cost and no time. You're already doing it while you're out there. Just instead of listening to I'm going to date myself, the top 80s music, you can listen to that.
With Pentair, if you live close to one of their training facilities, you can call your rep and they will arrange for you to go to their training facility and go over whatever you need to go over.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
that's huge.
Right. And Pentair just announced in the Midwest market, for any of you listeners that are in the Midwest market, their training, in-person training, which is an incredible program. I want to say it's around March 15th or 16th is the 2-day training that they've got in our area. I'm sure you go to the Pentair website, you'll be able to find it easily. Yeah. If by chance you have difficulty, email us talkingpools@gmail.com and I'll make sure that Rudy gets you the link directly to the sites for Pentair, Fluidra, Hayward. You know, we can get that stuff to you.
Maybe we
if
could
you have trouble finding it.
Maybe after this episode airs, I can sit down and I can make a post on our group with the links so they can click on them. Make it easy for them to find.
Yeah, right. Get it a little bit easier for people to find it. Sure. That would be that. Absolutely. That's awesome.
Kelly and Dan will be right back after these messages.
Have you heard there is a group of pool service professionals nationwide that are here to help grow and protect your business? The Independent Pool and Spa Service Association, known as IPSA, is here to help you. By joining the largest trade organization created by and for pool and spa service techs, you gain access to industry networking opportunities, exclusive educational offerings, IPSA's Tech for Tech route coverage, and more. So be independent, supported, and part of a professional community. Go to ipssa.com to learn how to be a member of IPSA today.
You know,
I don't
training
mind.
is out
I like
there.
To post whenever I find out there's a training.
Yeah, and especially this kind of stuff where it's easy, it's regional. You're not going to have to fly across the country. Pentair, Hayward, Fluidra, when they do their in-person training, they're doing it in local markets across the country. And then also look to your distributor. I know we have one of the local distributors is Aquagon in our region, and they have these regional training events at their facilities, right? So your distributors often will bring manufacturers and so forth in to do training right at their facility. So it's kind of in your own backyard. You just got to be able to find the time and find when they're doing it. So,
and any of the viewers, like if you ever see a flyer at one of your suppliers or you find out about a training, you know, maybe help your fellow pool man out and post it in the group. And then others can see that it's there. And to tell you the truth, that helps the vendors get more people there because they do the best they can with, you know, hey, this is what's coming up. And the more people you get involved in those trainings, the more trainings they're going to want to do for you.
Yeah. And also the more fun it is. When you're in a room with, you know, 20, 30 people doing the training, inevitably there's a lot of conversation between the people that are in there, or if you're doing lunch or you're doing breakfast or whatever, the networking and all that kind of stuff. In fact, today, you, Kelly, had some issues with some Pentair equipment as you were going through a startup on a new pool, and
unfortunately,
you reached out to our Talking Pools group to ask some questions, and hopefully you were able to get some answers there that helped you out a little bit.
I asked our little group chat about it. I also contacted my reps.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of people in my area that are very knowledgeable with the new IntelliFlow 3s.
Yeah.
And so my go-tos, I wasn't able to ask because they haven't installed them yet. When programming, it's when you have to program multiple pumps. So with the new ones, you have to download the Pro app when they do not have an LCD display. And you have to download the app so that you can, program it, what speed, what time, stuff like that, if you do not have automation. If you do have automation, if you have multiple pumps, you have to address them, 1, 2, 3, 4, so the automation knows which pump it's turning on. Well, where I was, there wasn't great reception with my phone. There wasn't great Wi-Fi connection to the customer's house because of where the equipment was. And so it made it so I was having issues when setting up the pump on the app. So what I did was I downloaded the app. Why I had enough to download the app, who knows? And then download the app, found out that the app can kind of be finicky. So when I tried using my Pentair login, that didn't work. So a little trick to that, if that happens to you, is just set up a new account, like a fake one. So I did that, and it logged me in. I pushed the connect button on the pump. So it went to blue, which meant that my phone, if I have Bluetooth available, will see the pump. So saw the pump, connected, did that. But I had to then say where this pump is located. So I put the address in, I pushed next, and the loading symbol just kept spinning over and over and over again. And that's all it ever did. So when I left the house, because again, don't have great cell service, I called my rep or I texted him, was like, hey, or I called, he didn't answer. He texted me like, hey, I'm in a meeting. Do you need me to like go outside real fast to answer your question? I was like, no, just call me whenever. He's like, well, you can call Tim and he can help you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now, the funny part of that was he's like, you're very understanding. Like, why can't more pool professionals be like you?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, no, I need to talk to you now. I'm like, well, you're busy. I'm not your only customer. So, and it's not like you're the only rep I have for Pentair. I can call Tim and Tim can help me. Text him, he calls me, I tell him what was going on. So if you have one of these freak things that happen where you can't connect to the server because of internet issues, you can assign the pump when you have the LCD screen. However, those screens will not be available till probably January.
Right.
So it kind of put me in a predicament in this particular one. Now, you did find out for me, I can take the drives, take them home, assign them, and then bring them back. So at least there is an option.
Right.
And I'm very thankful that you came up with that option because no one else gave me that option. Not saying they didn't know, maybe they didn't. You know, a lot of these reps, they do learn these things as they go in some aspects. You know, so that was my hiccup. I'm not saying the pumps are bad. I'm just saying this is definitely a challenge. Luckily, they are going to have a fix to it.
The aspect of all of that, though, is having the resources to be able to reach out to, because of the networking and all the rest of it, that you can, you know, so you sent some questions to our Talking Pools group, and through that we were able to give some ideas as to, you know, what to do. And I, you know, you're out in Sacramento, I'm in Chicago, you were talking to your reps, I was able to get to talk to my rep, and through all of that we came up with some different scenarios of things that can get you to overcome the issue that you had. And you know, you don't have the ability of having those reps on your contacts on your phone if you're not engaging and going to these education things and
meeting them
and yeah, all that kind of stuff, so that you get to know them. And to that point too, you know, I don't have to ever dial a manufacturer's 800 number for technical service. I never do. I have every one of the big threes and beyond. You know, you go into chemical companies and all the rest.
Yep.
They're all contacts, and they know me, and they know I'm not going to bug them all the time. It's truly if I've got a, you know, kind of a one-off kind of question, and they're very willing to respond. And you know, I know from Pentair, what you were dealing with today, my local guy Phil is just amazing. I sent him a text and he called me, you know, and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm grabbing one of my pumps right now and hooking it up to see what you're talking about, and went through the scenario that you had encountered. And he says, okay, you know what? I'm going to hang up with you right now so I can put my phone into airplane mode. So I have no internet, whatever on it. So I can see exactly what Kelly's dealing with in the middle of nowhere where she's got no signal. And then
I have to call my reps after I leave the
Right.
property.
Right. So, and then he called me right back and he said, okay, you know what? This is what I ran into. And it's a similar scenario of what she's running into. But here are a couple of ways around it.
Yep.
And, certainly one is removing a drive and taking it to an area where you have good data connection to be able to do what you have to do. And that, which, it's not the most convenient, but at least there's a way around it. And I'm sure, like any of the companies are, when they realize that, hey, there are some situations here where we need to address, things we hadn't considered, right? Most areas of the country, everyone's connected all the time.
Yeah.
But you do get into remote areas, and even in our Midwest area, you get into mid to upper Wisconsin or Minnesota, where we're at, which is part of our Midwest chapter of PHTA, and there's no internet in those areas,
so it's down,
right. And everyone is, the majority of the country is so used to, we got the internet in our pocket and it's no big deal. But okay, all right. So
look at the younger generation; they don't know what to do without the internet.
Oh my God! So this episode, Kelly and I were supposed to actually record this. Was it yesterday or day before?
Last night.
And I there was a huge outage in the Chicago market, the internet, and it affected everything. So I couldn't even hotspot my phone because there was no internet on the phone. There was no internet at my house. There was nothing I could do. So we had to postpone recording it. But, it's surprising. And I'm certainly not of a young generation that lives and breathes on the internet. But I'm like, okay, well, I can't record the podcast. So now what do I do? I got, I can't stream Netflix. I can't,
Luckily, it was a weekend I didn't have the kids. I had Bay Area traffic on Wednesday. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And there was an accident, so I'm totally screwed. And that he has no internet. It's like,
right.
Oh God. So if I had the kids, we wouldn't be able to do that today.
Yeah. So at any rate, networking, education, meet people, talk to them, get their contact information. Look at your distributor whenever you get a chance to.
Be nice to your distributors so that they will tell you when these things happen.
Yeah, and ask them, hey, can you reach out to me if I'm not at the distributor every week, or every other day or something. Many of us work on a basis where we're only there every 2 or 3 weeks or even less.
SCP now will text you if they have, they started doing text messages and stuff. So make sure to sign up for that. So then they can send you a text. Hey, this is coming up.
Text, email, join, their Facebook, like them on Facebook so you see their posts, all this kind of stuff. It's all ways to just keep in touch as to what's going on, and any opportunity that you have where you can invest in yourself by spending a little bit of time in education, go for it. So that's our
spiel
edict,
for the day,
right? For the day is places you can go to find sources of education to make yourself even better at what you do.
Gosh, we talk about it a lot.
we do. And, but it means a lot. We should do a Talking Pools educational, in-person sort of thing sometime somewhere.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
There's going to have to be a disclaimer about language. Please don't be oversensitive when you come in here.
Especially if Heather's part of it, because,
I don't know. Rudy, he's pretty.
And Andrea too. Listening to them yesterday, right? it was a lot more of bleeps than it was, so, but anyway, yeah. So that's our deal.
Talking Pools Unfiltered.
I like that. So anyway, that's all I got for today. How about you?
Yes, because it's Friday at 9:16 for me. I'm People want me to go out, and I kind of want to curl up in my bed. Because it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. We need the rain, but these storms lately have been awfully cold.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening to us talk again today. If you have any questions, please message us. You can DM us on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, or email us the old school way.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't have a mailbox, like a physical mailbox.
Yeah. Who does anymore?
I know.
Really? What's the point?
But please let us know if there's any questions you have. We will love to cover them, whatever they are. Thank you, IPSA, and thank you to
CMAC for our
CMAC.
Partnership with them.
And we
it's
really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And so we will talk to you next week.
Everyone stay safe out there.